don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
What about endorsing us to sponsor you becoming a product yourself now? If that means slaving away your freedom of mind, freedom of choice, to trade it in for a hero, but it's really corporate worship, when it boils down to spending irresponsibly, and companies taking advantage of your consuming to fatten up your ideas and perception, for the comfort to ease the pain from the day-to-day, only to force you to fasten while fastening the moral compass. Ready to slim down your chances just to pick up the prices they're willing to pay.
It's more important to know how to interact with someone utilizing these personality traits than how to identify the traits of one person. Because when you can identify how to interact with a person, utilize those
things that, like, just for an example, that two of the ladies would come over and tend to my...
You may very well be in a position where you need that exploration and experience. It's like that's going to be what it takes both for you to feel satisfied with the level of experience you have and also to get an opportunity to experience genuine consequences from it.
The flow insane, take my spot, so the range, shoot my shot with perfect aim, 3rd degree, that perfect flame, ain't no sleep, that's the game, oh so southern, that's the slang, when they see me, that's the main, chasing checks and fly like planes, big old stick, I bought a cane, flick my wrist and bought the ring, I'm so boss, we're not the same, paid the cost and kept the change, now I'm walking Hall of Fame, and I reside in the cloud, grand wishes with these bitches, taking pictures with the crowd, and I'm out.
Yo. Happy Monday. Peace, blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. I hope all is well. Shout out to my poets, writers, content creators. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. I hope you've started this week off beautifully, majestically, if that's a word. You know what time it is, man. Shout outs to everybody in the building. Do me a solid like, share, repost. Let the people know that we are on. See the title. About to chop it up. Real quick, my thoughts and prayers go out to Kadir Skinner. That brother, 19 years old, lost his life to more gun violence within the very community is supposed to protect and serve. I got Rob in the building. I got Sid in the building. I got a clip I want to play for y'all. Let me bring Rob up. Let me give Sid some time to get her set up together. And yeah. Hold on a second. Yo.
You say hi?
Hi.
Hi, I like your hair.
You give him a wave?
Wait.
Happy Monday, good people.
Hi.
Happy Monday. Hi, baby.
How you feeling, bro? How was your weekend?
Man, it was good, man. Good. Got a little rest and relaxation. Just heard we got Monday off. It's going down.
It ain't nothing like that 3 day. See, what's going on?
I'm doing pretty good. Over the weekend, I went to a poetry conference with the class that I've been in. So that was super, super fun. Finally got to meet my instructor and my classmates in person, face to face, and got to do a couple open mics and went to some tabling events with like both professionals and then also some that were like educational seminars. So that was a super, super fun experience. I'm really glad I got to finally do that. I missed the one my first year, so I'm super stoked I got to go this year, and the timing worked out since, you know, somebody could come in the next 2 to 3 weeks now. So it was really cool.
That's what's up. That's what's up. But look, I had to make a switch. I had something else before this. It didn't pop up on my calendar until the last second, and then by the time I saw it, I had already swapped it out for this one. But the brother, man, he ain't got really too many people following him on TikTok, but the message hit hard and it hit deep. So I wanted to give him his flowers on that one, because I don't think people really talk about this a lot. So I'll bring it up on the big screen, let him get his bars off, and we'll go around and chop it up.
If it bothers you, them keep bringing it up, imagine how much it may bother them, the fact that they can't stop thinking about it. Now, really hear me out and think about it. Let's say you cheat on somebody or you hurt somebody feeling really bad. And every time they bring it up, you get irritated because you're like, I'm tired of hearing it. But you never think about the fact, don't you think they're tired of feeling it? So let's say I was to cheat on a girl. And let's say 7 months later, she's still bringing up the fact I cheated. Yes, I might be irritated that she keeps bringing up I cheated, because it's like, okay, I haven't done this shit in 7 months. Stop bringing it up. But realistically, it's also like, I did it to her. She's still feeling the pain from it 7 months later. That's why she's bringing it up, because it's still bothering her, eating her up on the inside. Vice versa, guys and girls. This isn't a gender thing. What I'm saying is, when someone's bringing up something that happened to them in the past, you might be tired of hearing about it, like, oh, why they keep bringing that shit up? But don't you think they're tired of feeling the pain or feeling the effect from what you did? You get what I'm saying? It's like they're still grieving for something that you're trying to get them to drop, like it happened, it's old, but it's like you're being kind of inconsiderate because it still bothers them. Even though it happened 5 years ago, it's like that's 5 years of pain. They're still feeling it. It hasn't stopped. The pain hasn't stopped. And I feel like a lot of people just get tired of hearing things and people say stuff about them. And it's like, don't you think that same person is tired of feeling them things about you? If it bothers you,
Sid, you want to start us off? Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is really interesting, actually, and it's kind of something that I've dealt with myself from both ends, where I could see both sides of the issue. Where if somebody's going through something that's traumatic or stressful, hurtful in some way, breakup, whatever it is, there's like, everyone is going to take their time to get over something, depending on the depths of the relationship. I also think of like deaths and getting over the death of somebody. The healing process can take a very long time. If you had a significant relationship with someone and it ends for any reason, or if you had a severe disappointment, like you didn't get into the school you wanted, or you had to quit a job that you really liked, or whatever, like it can take people a while to process and really come to terms with the loss, feel the emotions, and people will be at various levels of ability to do so depending on how much they've dealt with in their life. Sometimes people that have gone through a lot of trauma find it really difficult to get past disappointments because they're so used to having things happen to them. But then some people are more acclimated to it and know how to work through the difficult emotions. And I've also been on that side. Like, I've been obviously in the position where I've had to heal from things that were overwhelmingly difficult at the time. Like I've had hard breakups. I've had the loss of a parent. I've dealt with the disappointment of something that I wanted badly happening to me, and I have to deal with that. Like even to this day, like I still, just this morning, I was thinking about back when I was in high school, I tried to go out. I tried to run for a position when I was in the FFA, the agricultural program I was in, and I wanted to be a sectional officer, but I like butchered my speech, and I like got really nervous, and I froze in front of people. And please go to dad. I froze, and because of that, the other girl got it, and she was saying like your speech, because I ended up reading off the paper, and even the girl was saying like you should have gotten it because you wanted it more than me, and your speech was better than me, but because I froze, like I lost that opportunity. And even today, I still think of that. Like, man, I wonder how things would have been different if I had gotten that position. And it's still, I feel that residual disappointment to it. And I recognize that pain can last a really long time, and it can crop up at really random times in really weird ways. But I also have been on the flip side where I have friends that go on and on about certain issues, or I would become self-conscious about myself going on about certain issues where I could tell people were getting tired of it. And there's a point where you have to do the work yourself. Like a lot of people I've noticed go on and on about an issue because they're trying to process it. But then there's also some people that use it to get attention. They use it for the drama. They use it to like instigate or whatever purpose they have. And so like, I'm sure we've all had the experience of like that friend that's still going on about the breakup that they had a year and a half ago. They're still upset about it. They're still being overly dramatic. And so I think it's kind of a happy, or you kind of have to find a middle ground where you have to recognize that to feel recovery, to feel relief, you have to move through the pain, but you also can't sit in the pain. You have, as I said, you have to move through it and find a way past it. Because if you allow yourself to fester in the discomfort for too long, it can make you stuck in life in a bunch of other ways. Allowing yourself to stay stuck in the past will affect how you interact with people, will affect how you treat your life and the things around you. So you have to recognize where the pain comes in, how you deal with it, understand how you personally cope with it, and don't be afraid to reach out to people. Don't be afraid to be open about your experience. But also, people have to understand that you can't rely on the people around you to fix that pain for you. You still have to do that work yourself. So even if you're telling people about what's going on and how you're feeling, you can't allow that to just become a cycle where you're telling people things, but you're not actually making any progress yourself. So, yeah, initial thoughts.
Yeah, I'm with you. The pain of betrayal, the pain of stealing, it lasts forever, and you gotta let people process. The homie was right. I've been in situations where I caused pain, I received it, and you gotta let people process. You could be watching a movie and it triggers some kind of emotional feelings. They might take a drink, start feeling some kind of way. Might be out somewhere, and anything that triggers, because what happens, what we don't realize is when people hurt, they start putting two and two together, especially if they're inquisitive in the first place. And when they betrayed, they start seeing all of that and they start adding it. Oh, that's why you was acting like that. That's why you was doing this. That's why you was doing that. Oh, that's what you was that day. You said you was. And at the end of the day, you gotta just let them process that out. And a lot of times they may not ever get better. The pain of loss, people process through their own times, especially in the state of grief. It's like, the research said it's like 7 stages of grief. But what they don't say much is that they don't all come in a linear fashion. They don't just go from 1 to 7. They might come 7 first, then 3, then 2, then 4, and so on. So when that happens, you have to let them process, and hopefully they have forgiveness, because a lot of times most people don't forget. A lot of people don't forgive. And I'm on the side with a lot of times to where if you don't forgive, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily a bad thing, because a lot of times people don't change their behaviors. So it's kind of up to you. We preach forgiveness, this and that, da 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 da. But a lot of times that's on the person. And if a person don't forgive, especially if they was done real bad, that's on them. I don't fault them, because they say fool me once, it's on you, but fool me twice, it's on me. So I'm always with now I understand people deserve second chances or whatever, but you got to leave that up to the victim. It's up to the victim to decide how they want to feel. And again, if they don't feel like forgiving, I'm not mad at them, because that hurt run deep, and most of the time it run deep because it's somebody that you trusted that did you wrong.
You can't put a timeline on when somebody is supposed to just be something that you remember them to be before the damage was done. And like this one hit close to home, because I've had conversations or I've witnessed similar discussions where a person will talk about everything that has happened to them, but they're talking to someone who fell victim to the very same behavior patterns that was bestowed upon them. Hurt people. So while you're going on about everything that you've experienced, you don't consider the damage that you've done to other people. And so when someone decides that they want to still stick around, and maybe it's foolish, maybe there should be a timeline on when you sever ties with people, if it's worth salvaging the relationship, or maybe you just need to just walk away from it. But if you decide that you're going to stay there, you should have a safe space, especially if you're responsible for the distance that's been created here. Some things can be salvaged, but that only depends on the participation of both parties, not just the victim, which for some reason people make the victim the one who has to go above and beyond to fix something that they didn't create directly. And that is where I get a little flustered and fired up, is because like you're saying, oh, I'm not that person anymore. You shouldn't bring that up. Why are you bringing that? That was 15 years ago. That was 20 years ago. Why are you still? Well, because it did something to me or the person and changed them in such a way that they haven't been able to navigate right or properly because of it. And some people cannot accept that you won't get the type of closure from that like you would hope. You're expecting people who do these things to wake up immediately after they burnt everything down. You're expecting them to pick up the phone, listen to you go on about all of the bad things that they've done to you. You're expecting them to empathize and relate and really dig in deep enough so that they can try to repair the problem. But that isn't the reality that we live in. Some people can do it. Most people aren't going to do it. So what you left with is you'll have resentment, or you will start to move differently because, all right, the damage is done. You don't really want to do anything about this, so now I have to move accordingly. But in the process of you trying, and that's it. That's in the case of someone who actually forgave it, but they just won't forget it. And they actually did the work, like y'all was both alluding to. They actually went through the process to get back to where they were. They're not going to want to move the same way with you anymore. And I think it's just comical how you would get upset or feel some type of way because they no longer hold you to this same precipice as they once did. It don't work like that. But that's my 2 cents.
Kind of like you were, both of you were saying, people, and I was also mentioning it, people go through the process differently. And especially in like relational type of things, as long as the other person's still in the picture, like a breakup or a friendship falling apart or whatever, or even just like a rejection, people are going to process that experience differently. They're going to see the experience differently. I was just watching a video this morning about the psychology between parental estrangement with their kids. And this particular psychologist was talking about how in most of the situations that she has worked with, because that's like her primary focus, the child comes in with a very descriptive, emotionally charged story. There's a series of events that they distinctly remember and were shaping moments in their lives. But when she talks to the parents of those same children, they sometimes don't even have a memory of those particular events, or they don't acknowledge or recognize the significance of that event to their child. To them, they just think it was like, oh, well, that's what my parent did, or I thought I was doing what was best for them, or I just didn't I didn't even know it upset them. That type of mentality. And we forget sometimes that people are going to have different perspectives of the same exact event. And so like we even see that in relationship breakups where you have one of the partners that's absolutely distraught because that relationship fell apart, but then you have the other side that is completely like, I don't care, I'm glad they're gone. And even that can contribute to the trauma, because if you have somebody that's pining for the other person and they want nothing to do with them, that's going to add to that trauma. And frankly, just from what I've seen and experienced in high school, that can contribute to the distress. Because if you're trying to like rekindle things, or you're trying to get them back and they want to just cut you off and I'm not going to have conversations with you. I don't want to hang out with you. I don't want to see you. It can make the other person very desperate and anxious and like riled up. And for outsiders watching, their response is also going to be heavily dependent on whose side they take. If you like the most poignant example that comes to mind is my mom's friend. They've been friends with her for, I don't know, 40 years, something along those lines. She didn't even get married to him, but she was in a relationship with somebody, and he basically like moved out and went to live with somebody else. And this was, I didn't even meet him, so it was longer than 30 years ago. She still has his stuff in her house. She still talks about the stuff that she used to do with him. And she still thinks that he's going to come back, even though he's been married to this other lady for like 30 plus years. And she's very much the type of person that if she has a problem, she completely ignores it. She does nothing about it. She's moving from California to Texas on July 1st. She has not packed up her house at all. She's done no decluttering. She's done no packing, nothing. Like, she is very, very avoidant. And for people on the outside, it seems crazy because they're like, why are you still wasting your time and thought and energy on somebody that's clearly gone? But they haven't gotten to the point where they're able to acknowledge and walk through that trauma. And so I think it's kind of an interesting dichotomy, because there can be some people that they are so afraid to face this trauma that they rely on everyone else around them to kind of make them feel better and expect other people to like it. Okay, when I was in high school, I had the mentality of like, I just need to find the savior friend, like the one person that can like, they'll be my person and they'll help me through my mental illness, and they'll cure me of my loneliness because they'll be that friend that's always there. But then once I got to college and was learning psychology and learning about myself and trauma and emotions and all that stuff, I began to recognize like, that's not healthy. You can't rely on other people to fix your own traumas for you. You can ask them to be there, ask them for advice, but people don't like, it's very rare for somebody to be comfortable with somebody else being dependent on them. And if you are unable to walk through your trauma and you're constantly like talking about this person and showing your unwillingness to move on and change and grow, people will start to get irritated with you, or at least become turned off. They're not interested in talking to you. And those are going to be the friends that are like, I've heard enough. Like, can we talk about something else? I don't want to hear about it. Again, that can also add to the trauma, additional trauma, because then, people aren't listening to me. People aren't acknowledging what I'm feeling and blah, blah, blah. So it's interesting, because I think there's, even though they don't talk about it in psychology very much, I think there's also a relationship between the depth of trauma and your ability to communicate that trauma with other people that are external to the situation. Because if you're not able to communicate it well, but also move through it, you're just going to come up as a nuisance to people, because they aren't going to want to hear about it anymore. So I think it's really important for people to, especially for an overwhelming trauma, to know that they should reach out to people and not be alone, but also to recognize that they can't expect other people to walk them through that difficulty all on their own. Like, you still have to be able to have the power to face whatever that pain is and move through it. You can expect that this pain might come up for years and years, even decades, depending on what happened, but it's not something you should allow to stop your life, to stop you from moving on, from creating relationships, from getting a job, or whatever it is. Because really, that's when it becomes dysfunctional. It's when your life circulates around that particular trauma.
Yeah, I used to be immature like that, to where I do something crazy, and when people bring it up, I'd be like, "Well, I ain't do it no more. What's your problem?" Or I get mad at people for getting mad at me. I had to grow out of that because I learned that nothing beats an apology but change behavior. Um, People talk. A lot of people be stuck in their ways, and I suggest that a person, if you're in some kind of pain like that, or you got some trauma or some kind of PTSD, you probably need to stay by yourself until you deal with that, because what's going to happen is a lot of times everybody's going to have to deal with your past hurts. And that's even notes to self, to where I had to learn. And I got to a point to where I thought that everybody was crazy but me. And I had to grow up, and I realized that I could go to Amsterdam, I could go to South Africa, I could go to China, and I'll have the same results that I was having here, because I was projecting my failures on everybody else. It's your fault, or it's this person's fault. Everybody's crazy, da 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 da. And then I realized, like, wait, I got the same bad habits that I had from 10, 15 years ago. And I learned that not only did I have to change my behavior, I had to call the people that I hurt to let them know. And I haven't gotten to everybody. I wish one day. A lot of times I know they not even gonna want to hear it. And to be honest, I don't blame them. But I realized that nothing was going to change until I changed my behavior. And I've also learned that when you change your behavior, that don't mean you're going to get what you want. You know what I'm saying? And also, karma is a mug. So, you got to be careful the energy you put out there. And you don't want to put out bad energy if you can't take it. Because, again, I think about R. Kelly song all the time, especially when he said, when a woman's fed up, ain't nothing you can do about it. You know what I'm saying? He ain't telling no lies. And in general, that happens for a lot of people. Once they're done with you, once they wash their hands, they clean their hands, it's over. And a lot of times you can't blame them, because, most of the times we hurt the people that was good to us. And that's never good.
Yeah, I don't really know if it's a characteristic in people that they are so accustomed to getting away with doing certain things, and the consequences never match up to the level of disrespect that they dish out. And I don't mean necessarily cheating. It could have been a form of deception, manipulation, control. You cause somebody harm in any type of way, then it affects them. And your only way of showing that you feel something is to say, "Oh, my bad." Then it's like, all right, well, water under the bridge. It does not work like that. If you really respect a person and you do something to them like this, you're already doing the math and trying to figure things out. I could never try, or nor would I ever try to justify somebody's time frame on forgiving or allowing me back into their space, because that's their prerogative. If you want me here, That's something that you have to decide. If you feel as though too much has taken place to proceed forward with this and it doesn't hold any future value, then if they decide to go on, you can't really get mad at it. You can't get mad at how they respond or react to it either, especially if you decide that you want to keep on and you want to keep them around. Because, like, I'm not just trying to hear you ramble on all day about the work you've done and this that I need to see it. I need you to show me this different person. If I don't see it, it's like what faith without works is dead. There's really no point of you trying to convert or change a person to be something that you want them to be. And I think the only reason why folks want you to forget about it is because they still want to have some level of control over your life in some type of way. I could be off and stretching it a little bit, but you just don't do people any kind of way you want and then say you love them or care about them and then expect that they're supposed to fall under your program. You do realize there are two different lives here, mine's and yours. And just because you operate a certain way, that does not mean I have to operate the same way that you do. Because some days you probably be the life of the party, or you might be the one who needs open hand, or whatever the case may be. It might be days where I'm going to need you to follow my suit. But if that's not what this is, then nah, I'm cool. Now, Max, you probably don't know what we're talking about specifically. So what I did was I brought the clip back up so that you can actually hear it and chime in for yourself. Let me bring this back up here real quick.
If it bothers you, them keep bringing it up, imagine how much it may bother them, the fact that they can't stop thinking about it. Now, really hear me out and think about it. Let's say you cheat on somebody or you hurt somebody feeling really bad. And every time they bring it up, you get irritated because you're like, I'm tired of hearing it. But you never think about the fact, don't you think they're tired of feeling it? So let's say I was to cheat on a girl. And let's say 7 months later, she's still bringing up the fact I cheated. Yes, I might be irritated that she keeps bringing up I cheated because it's like, okay, I haven't done this shit in 7 months. Stop bringing it up. But realistically, it's also like, I did it to her. She's still feeling the pain from it 7 months later. That's why she's bringing it up, because it's still bothering her, eating her up on the inside. Vice versa, guys and girls. This isn't a gender thing. What I'm saying is, when someone's bringing up something that happened to them in the past, you might be tired of hearing about it. Like, oh, why they keep bringing that shit? But don't you think they're tired of feeling the pain or feeling the effect from what you did? You get what I'm saying? It's like they're still grieving for something that you're trying to get them to drop like it happened. It's old, but it's like you're being kind of inconsiderate because it still bothers them. Even though it happened 5 years ago, it's like that's 5 years of pain. They're still feeling it. It hasn't stopped. The pain hasn't stopped. And I feel like a lot of people just get tired of hearing things and people say stuff about them. And it's like, don't you think that same person is tired of feeling them things about you?
I don't know if you got a chance to hear all that, bro, because I'm pretty sure you working. Yeah, he just dropped. I'll add this real quick. You got to make a choice, and I'm speaking about the person who it affected. You got to decide if this is worth staying around for or walking away from. And you can't second guess it. You got to be sure. Because if it bothered you that much and it was never addressed, that's a red flag. I think that's an obvious one. And there's ways that you address it. And that's the next question I got. When you do wrong by somebody, because I don't know if y'all know or you just act like you don't know, but just so we can get this on the record, what is a proper way to try to atone with someone that you did wrong by, so that they know whether or not this is genuine or not? Like, you can go about it the right way and they still decide to walk away from it, but at least you put forth the effort. My question to y'all is, what would be a appropriate way to acknowledge another person and their hurt or their stuff that derived from your choices and decisions that caused them this pain? What would you say to somebody like that?
First of all, you do want to make sure that for your own safety, like, you're kind of differentiating between people that are healthy mad and unhealthy mad, because if there are people that or if the person is an unhealthy type of mad, you'll definitely want to approach it differently, because oftentimes people who have unhealthy emotions like that are going to react counterintuitively, or in a way that could be potentially dangerous or stressful, or like just not helpful at all to you. But for normal situations, like, let's say two people break up, friendship ends, one, you want to be as honest as you possibly can, but simultaneously showing that you recognize their feelings, that you acknowledge your part in the situation. If you go into the blame game, that's not going to be helpful at all. It's just going to instigate arguments, and the person is going to feel the need to defend themselves. So acknowledging your part in the situation is super important. And then also making it clear what your expectations are for the future. If you want no contact, if you want partial contact, if you want like just amicable relations, because you're in the same class together, same friend group or whatever, but you have to end by establishing what boundaries you want in place. That way they know what to expect going forward, and you have made it very clear what you want in a way that makes you feel like, all right, I've said my piece, and now if problems arise, I can just go back to, like, but these are the boundaries. I know what you feel, I know what you say, but these are the boundaries, and these are what's important to me. And you have to stick with it too. If you're going to set boundaries, you can't back in and out of them, because, or even overstep your own boundaries, because it's just going to add to the confusion. It's going to make the tie severance even harder. So you want to first, like, get yourself into a situation, a neutral situation, whether that's going to a restaurant or hanging out in the quad of your college or going to a park or whatever, a neutral location. And then acknowledge what happened, what your part is, what their part was. Be honest with them about why this relationship is ending, from your perspective, and then the boundary aspect. Setting those boundaries, being clear with what you expect from the relationship or lack of relationship in the future. That way it's not just a swinging door and the person can just expect like, oh, I just have to wait and then I can come back and start all over again. Because that will lead to further disappointment, trauma, anger. And then just because I mentioned it, if this person is, for lack of a better term, an outrageous individual, they are very dramatic, they don't handle their emotions very well, the potentiality of them being violent. These are situations where you want to put yourself in a public place, maybe show up with other people that support you. If you're afraid of the person, definitely have somebody there with you that can support you and protect you if something bad happens. Notify people around you if you are for some reason going by yourself, so they know like where you're going, who you're going to be with, and when to expect you back, just in case something happens. Because sometimes pain makes people do crazy stuff, and we're in an age where everyone has access to weapons, and people just be crazy. And with them, you want to set harder boundaries. Like, honestly, I'd suggest if it's with somebody that is emotionally unstable, cut them off. Like, unless they're like a family member that you can't cut off, just create like very healthy boundaries. Like, we'll only meet in these places or with these people or this time. But if it's like a relationship and they're, I hate using this word, but like the psycho types, set a hard boundary. Like, we are not going to be seeing each other. You're not coming to my house. You're not showing up at my dorm in the middle of the night. Stop texting me. Like, block the number. Don't allow them on your, like, take them off social media. If you can, remove yourself physically from their location, or just like never go around them. And you still want to be upfront with them. Like, look, this isn't going to work. Our personalities don't jive. I don't like your behavior, whatever the reasons are. Still be upfront with them and honest. That way, if somehow in the future they become more like sane and normalized, they'll be able to reflect on it and know, and they won't have that like, I wonder why. Because if there's any of that why and wondering and thinking like, well, maybe they didn't mean it, or maybe if I change then they'll want me back, you have to make it clear to them. That way they have that knowledge going forward, and there isn't any of those questions in their head. Because when there are those questions, it leaves the door open for interpretation. And for particularly unhealthy relationships and unhealthy emotional people, any of those open doors and any of the interpretation allowances can lead to further problems in the future. It's very common. Watching all the crime shows and stuff that I watch, I've heard many, many stories of women that were in a relationship. They broke it off with a guy. They moved out with him, but then they like went back for their stuff, or they went back to talk to him, or they decided to, oh, maybe we can be friends. And that's when the crime happened, because they allowed themselves back into that person's life for the moment, and all of that pain came back and triggered them to end things. So yeah, you definitely want to evaluate the situation first, evaluate how the person is, how they manage their problems, how they manage their emotions. And you do have to modify your response based on how emotionally stable or unstable they are. But generally, for basically anything, you have to make it known exactly why you're ending things And then you have to make it known what your boundaries are and what your expectations are for the future, and stick with it. Because I think these are the best ways to allow people to move on, because there aren't questions in their mind. Like, people that get stuck and can't move on are stuck because they still have those questions in their head. What if I did things differently? What if I acted a different way? What if I, like, maybe I can rekindle this? So having a, like, distinct end is very important for people to be able to move through that pain eventually, to acknowledge that it's over, and to recognize their need to move on, because there is no going backwards. And then also, because it's slightly different with deaths, you have to find a way to come to terms with whatever that is. Like, do some sort of ritual for yourself to let that person go, whether it's like praying or releasing ashes or creating a memorial or whatever. Like, you have to find a way to make the death final in your head, and that will allow you to start moving through the grief, because a lot of people get stuck in their grief because they still haven't acknowledged the loss yet, or they have a hard time, like, acknowledging that that person has gone. So finality and boundaries and, like, having kind of an endpoint are really, really crucial aspects to helping somebody else move on with their pain.
Best way to get back right is to acknowledge your wrongs, what you did wrong. And most of the time, people think the grass is greener on the other side. It's not. And the next way is to change your behavior. A lot of people have bad habits, and they make every excuse they can for them, and they let them ruin their relationships. And you got to look at what you're in. If it's a relationship anyway, what is it for? Are you dependent on that person? Are you not leaving because the kids? Are you not leaving because you got bills? Are you not? And then you got to acknowledge too that some people is just toxic. Some people like drama. That's their excuse. They like that stuff. They like to repeat this stuff again and again, and they make it excuses. So for the person that's being victimized, they got to know when to draw the line and say, hey, you know what? It's over. I know that misery loves company. I do not support that. I'm the type of person, if I'm miserable, I want to be by myself, because I learned that if I'm not happy with myself, I won't be happy with nobody else. And I learned that a lot of times it's clear you don't miss your water till your well run deep. And when you lose that person that you hurt, all of a sudden now you think it's straight, and it be too late. So a lot of times, if that person wants to leave, you have to let them leave, because at the end of the day, once you betray somebody, the ball is in their court to see how they want to deal with you from now on. And you don't realize, again, I'm going to say it again and again, that most of the time the people we hurt are the people that we could depend on, the people that trusted us, and the people that wouldn't hurt us in a million years. So a lot of times they have to separate so that those things don't happen. What Cindy was talking about, what you was talking about, to where, people die in certain situations, becomes very dangerous because people are vulnerable. And when they start, again, putting one and two together, they become volatile. So you got to be very careful. But if you are still pursuing and you get that second chance, definitely don't do that no more. And then the last thing, you got to acknowledge your triggers, because a lot of times people will change for a little bit till they get comfortable again, and they'll go back to the same behavior. So if you're the person that's doing wrong, you got to figure out what's those triggers that's making you do that stuff. What are these situations that make you want to go back through that, and then realize, you know what? Some people may not change. Like, hey, this is the way I am. So guess what? If you got a good person you're dealing with, you need to leave that person alone, because at the end of the day, it ain't no sense. It's like, it's like poison. You know what I'm saying? If you know you're gonna be like that and that's the way you are, then you need to be alone by yourself and maybe deal with people that could take the stuff you're putting on. But you definitely don't need to be running around hurting nobody. And if you got a good person, you need to show every single day, 24/7, and not in a way that you don't have to kiss they behind, you don't have to beg them or whatever, but you got to show them and you got to acknowledge that you got to let them grieve as they grieve. Because like I said, it could be 10 years later, and you could be watching a movie, and the person will be like, "Yeah, remember you was doing all that." Can't get mad, and all of a sudden you want to throw your drink on the floor and this and that, and you want to break the TV or you want to get up and walk away. No, you got to acknowledge, you know what? I did do all of that, but I don't do it no more. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? I appreciate you for giving me a second chance. And you may not never get over that, but at the end of the day, I'm sorry. I apologize. I won't ever do it again.
It should be that simple. But that comes with growth and experience and humility. And a lot of y'all don't have it. And you won't face it until you sitting on your porch 20 years later thinking about that specific person, wondering why you didn't just ground yourself a little sooner. All it take. But we don't treat everybody fair or equal. There's this weird hierarchy amongst us, even in communities that aren't so economically fortunate. People position themselves in different categories amongst the other people that they live amongst. And you can tell just based off of how they interact and how they treat each other. My only thoughts moving forward is pretty much everything y'all said, and pardon me, even what I was talking about earlier, just to rehash it, you got to do some real soul searching, some real digging. The stuff that you uncomfortable with and you ain't satisfied with, that's usually a sign that you need to stop ignoring it. Because people who really want to be there, they're not going to even put you in these type of situations anyway. But for the chance or for the sake of it possibly happening, they'll already know how to deal or proceed forward. Just like a surgeon or an EMT or first responder. You train your muscles to be able to perform at its most optimal in whatever environment that you're in. So, yeah, that's pretty much my take. If they're not showing the patterns of change, it's okay to distance yourself. It's okay to remove yourself. But you can't be an enabler either. At some point, you're going to have to say no, and enough is enough. And I won't deal nor tolerate that. Otherwise, it's just going to keep happening. But anyway, good show, folks. Great way to start the week off. I appreciate y'all for being here this evening. Shout outs to everybody who pulled up. I hope you guys have a blessed week moving forward. I will see a lot of you tomorrow morning for the morning show. Y'all drive safe, all that good stuff. And do me a solid before you go, if you don't mind.
What's the goddamn button?
Have a good night, guys. See you Wednesday.
Same to you and yours. And you, D.
What about endorsing us to sponsor you becoming a product yourself now? If that means slaving away your freedom of mind, freedom of choice, to trade it in for a hero, but it's really corporate worship, when it boils down to spending irresponsibly, and companies taking advantage of your consuming to fatten up your ideas and perception, for the comfort to ease the pain from the day-to-day, only to force you to fasten while fastening the moral compass. Ready to slim down your chances just to pick up the prices they're willing to pay.
It's more important to know how to interact with someone utilizing these personality traits than how to identify the traits of another person. Because when you can identify how to interact with a person, utilize
Things that, like, just for an example, that two of the ladies would come over and tend to my...
You may very well be in a position where you need that exploration and experience. It's like that's going to be what it takes both for you to feel satisfied with the level of experience you have and also to get an opportunity